I finally made my first D20 resin dice using two of my favorite colors and this cap mold to cast the resin in. I used a 1:1 by volume mix of resin. After stirring it into a clear state, I set the resin aside to degas for 5 minutes before using. The color base for this dice will be a mix of blue and purple. I want the colors to do a bit of a dance in the mold so the mix will remain uneven. I had planned to introduce these liquid cores into the dice, but I want to test them a little before casting them into resin. To get some movement in the pigments, I'll be doing a dirty pour. This is the first time I've used a mold with a cap, and I'm a little concerned about bubbles getting trapped even with this breathing hole. Moreover, I'm not confident I can place the cap correctly either without accidentally squeezing out the resin from the mold. I'm adding a thin layer of resin here as I'm hoping this will prevent air bubbles from getting trapped on the dry surface when I put the cap in. I finally realized why the cap wouldn't fit. It was supposed to be the other way around. This got a bit messy, so I'll top up the resin I lost. The dice is cured, but there's a gap at the top. I suspect this is due to slow degassing and shrinkage, so I'll fill it with a little more resin. The tricky part is that I don't want the new fill to look like a separate layer. I'll take a guess and hope for the best. It's disappointing though. I was so eager to see how the dice turned out, but now I have to wait at least another day for this additional layer to cure. Wow, this dice is a thirsty one. It just keeps burping up air and it drinks all the resin I'm pumping into it. I had no idea that there was still so much unfilled space inside. My fight with bubble continues as I use a toothpick, a heat gun, and sometimes both. The resin seems to be settling, so I'll continue to pump in more until the air bubbles stop coming out and it overflows. It feels full now, so I'll leave it to cure for 24 hours. My dice is finally ready. This goes into my collection of resin scraps. I can see the colors but no sharp boundaries. They do seem to have blended well. There is a resin chimney here. If only the resin had sense to fill these craters instead of the breathing hole. This is a problem which will happen again, I guess. The air will escape as the resin settles, and this is the surface it will reach, and because of the cap, it will get trapped. I really can't think of a workaround. Maybe a slow curing resin where I put the cap after maybe a couple of hours when all the air has left the body? Let me know in the comments if you have any ideas about this. Oh, this is pretty. I am loving this color combo and how the pigments have moved. The 20 phase on the bottom came out great. I can see some of the pigments settled here, creating a really cool visual texture. On the other hand, I got bubbles on the 3 faces that share a side with the top cap. Now, let's get this dice ready for painting in the numbers. To do that, I need to level the surface, even any jagged edges, and fill in unacceptable surface air pockets. The jagged edges are out. Now we need to level the surface. But before that, let's have a look at these craters. The small ones are too many and too small, but I can probably fill the bigger ones with UV resin. Now I will sand the surface to get rid of the rough edge. Once it's perfectly smooth, I'll work my way through finer grits of sandpaper until these surfaces become smooth and shine just as brightly as the other faces from the mold. My surfaces are ready. In fact, they probably are a little more reflective than the other surfaces. But the air pockets even out the extra shine. This next step is fun. A dollop of silver acrylic paint and my D20 all polished and ready for the numbers to be filled in. These surface bubbles are an interesting challenge. I have considered filling them with paint to make them stand out against the nebulous galactic background. However, I have decided to embrace them as a part of the process. While I'm painting in the numbers, some of the air pockets will get filled in naturally. I'll let the rest be, giving some a silver filling and leaving others as they are. The surface with the number 1 was sanded down so much that the number wasn't very deep. This makes coloring it tricky because the same swipe that removed the excess color also lifts it out of the shallow number. I'll have to be extra careful when I wipe away the excess around it, keeping the color inside untouched. I'm trying to figure out how to minimize the bubbles without investing in a pressure pot just yet. And speaking of challenges, I was so surprised by how much time the sanding and coloring took. It was more than double the time it took to actually cast the resin. I know, it's because it's my first one and I'll probably get faster over time, but wow, the process after demoulding is way more elaborate than with coasters or with any other resin project I have made so far. While the final layer I added was full of bubbles, I can't see the line I expected at all. Definitely a small win. Now, a final round of paint to fill in any spots I might have missed or accidentally removed during the first round. My first D20 is complete and ready to roll. While this cap mold system definitely presented some challenges like bubbles and spills, I'm confident I can solve them with practice and make even better dice. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever made a resin dice before. Happy crafting and have a wonderful day!